Afro Comic Con 2021. Rewrite the future with us.
Hi, I'm Theo Hollingsworth, writer, producer, and actor based in Oakland, California. This year, I've had the tremendous opportunity to accept a position at Pixar Animation Studios in Emeryville, California. I'm currently working as a department manager, managing the story department for an unannounced Pixar film. In my time, I've gotten the opportunity to see firsthand Pixar's efforts to highlight more stories by creatives of color, and in particular, its Black creatives. I've always been a fan of Afro Comic Con, so when I started here, I wanted to find a way to shed some light into what the Black folks at Pixar are up to for the Afro Comic Con audience. I was able to conduct a series of interviews with a few of my fellow Black employees here at Pixar, specifically for Afro Comic Con. This is the second of 3 interviews I conducted. This time I spoke with up-and-coming writer, producer, and director, Searit Huluf. It was awesome hearing about Searit's intro into this industry, her range of experience here at Pixar, and her thoughts on how Pixar is doing in their efforts to continue to identify and cultivate creatives from a wide array of diverse backgrounds. I hope you enjoy. So cool, yeah. Can you just first by telling us your name and what your role at Pixar is currently?
Yeah, my name is Searit Huluf, and currently I'm in the production management department, but right now I'm kind of just making my own little side project, a co-op live action film.
Dope. Okay, so you've been at Pixar for how long now?
I've been at Pixar. Sorry, I know it's like really loud where I live, but I'll do it over again. I've been at Pixar for about 5.5 years. I came to Pixar straight after college. It was actually a weird, I never had that period of what am I going to do in my life after I graduated? Because as soon as I graduated, I interviewed, and after a month, I got the internship. And then after a couple months internship, I got a PA role, which was really a blessing.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, I definitely had at least that 10-year period of what am I going to do with my life? So that's nice you didn't have that awkward transition time. So was it always the plan? Have you always been like an animation head and a Disney head? Was it just kind of nice timing? What kind of got you into this company specifically?
Yeah, I've always been interested in animation, and I went to UCLA, so I was really blessed with that school because it's such a very small program, whereas they only accept 30 students a year. So I really felt like I had a lot of good one-on-one time, and also just time to really take advantage of a lot of things in the program. So when I was there, I was studying both screenwriting and animation. And I was also on set all the time because I was part of a film fraternity. So I kind of was all over the place and also interning. So a lot of my internships ended up being in animation. So I entered a Cartoon Network and DreamWorks, and then got to really understand the animation pipeline. But then in school, it was mostly the live action stuff I was learning and working on. So I kind of got to do both worlds at the same time. And Pixar kind of came in I did not think I was going to get in. I kind of just literally went to LinkedIn and hit up Kim and be like, hey, you came to my school and I really loved the conversation you had. Can I please, when the production management roles go up? And she's like, here's my email, send it to you directly. And I'm like, okay, cool. And yeah, and it was a couple month process, but Pixar was definitely not in the picture. I never thought it was someone qualified to be at Pixar. But I definitely have this very go-getter and hustler mentality where I'm just gonna do it anyway, even if I feel like I'm not qualified enough. Yeah, that kind of that's how it came in.
That's dope. That's dope. So you kind of had during school, you got into UCLA. I didn't realize UCLA undergrad, they only accept 30 students.
Yeah.
So you had to have a pretty killer application for that.
Because ever since I was a freshman there, I was always on set. I was helping out in graduate shoots all the time. I was also helping out and part of a film club too. So I felt like I was in all these different sectors and film groups within the campus. So I felt like I knew a lot of people who were applying too. And I think a lot of the faculty also knew me just because of how often I was being on set. And yeah, and I think that like I feel very like grateful that I got in, because I remember telling myself, like, if I don't get into film school, I literally don't know what I'm going to do with my life.
Wow. So where have your parents always been supportive of your creative aspirations?
My parents are both immigrants, so they both immigrated from Ethiopia. There was like a civil war going on, and they came here. And like my mom was very typical of like, oh, you should be a doctor or a lawyer. And specifically for UCLA, she was like, oh, there's a hospital there. That's perfect. You could be a doctor. And I was like, yeah, no. But it's funny because I have been studying like STEM throughout my whole time when I was in high school. So when I was in high school, I was taking all these community college classes. I was part of like an Upward Bound program that helped underrepresented kids just like get more involved in like science and engineering. So I was taking all these like science and engineering and biology classes, and like also doing website coding. So I thought my world and life will be in that field. And then like this website coding competition, I saw that they had like a film competition too. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I kind of grabbed like all the seniors of our class, and I was like, let's make a film. And I wrote it and I filmed it and I edited it. And then I submitted it. We didn't win at all. But it was that experience where I was just like, oh, I want to be in film. And like, it's funny because I feel bad for the program, because I was in that program for 4 years, STEM. And then, oh, no, I want to go to art school.
Right. So it's like exciting to see that you have been able to like really quickly be able to get into this this industry right after school, and now you're doing like, and you're not stopping. Like, so sounds like there's like, you have 2 jobs right now, right? You have your job at Pixar, and then you have like this independent filmmaker job that's like, that you're kind of like running simultaneously. So I want to kind of understand a little bit more about the production management industry or department at and like what kind of like things have you experienced inside of that role, or are you working on these days?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't know what like production people do, but they kind of are the people who make sure the film gets done on time. And like a lot of like, there's like a lot of skills that I learned from that, like being in production management, that actually really translate well in live action, of just like, you know, making sure things get done on time, communicating, over communicating, having a B, C, D plan, just in case plan A doesn't work. Being a people person, and like kind of knowing when to like ask the right questions at the right time. I think production management was also just like good, like life organizational skills too, because there's a lot of like production things that I use in my personal life. Like for example, it's really stupid, but like I have to make like at production management, like you're always making to-do lists, like things you need to do and stuff like that. And I do that a lot when I go grocery shopping, where I'm like, oh yeah, it'll be helpful if I just make a list of things to do before I go in, because that's how I used to grocery shop. And then working at Pixar, I was just like, wait a minute, yeah, I should just take this notepad idea and just write down all these things, and also do that when I go grocery shopping. So it's like little things like that too.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm so now kind of getting into, so I've been in the production management pipeline here since January. And I don't know what it is, but I just started over the past couple of months, like keeping personal to-do lists for like personal life stuff. So I'm like, all right, I see how efficiently things are running within this production management pipeline. So let me just bring that into my chaotic personal life.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's super helpful.
So then it's like, I'm curious. So it's helping you out in your personal life. So you have all this experience working as a production coordinator. Can you remind me what films that are already out have you worked on in your time at Pixar?
Yeah, so I have a trend of like, I love to be on a film from like the moment it gets off development, because I really love developing a relationship early on with like the producers on the film, and like really just, I don't know, there's something magical about like starting from the beginning and then seeing it, the end product, and how much has changed. So if you look at my credits, like I only have 2 films, which is Incredibles 2 and Turning Red. And I've been in both films for like over 2 years. And when you look at other production people, like they hop around so often. Like I know there's a production person who didn't start at Pixar a year later than me, and she has double amount of credits than I do. But that's personally because I was just like, I just like to stay in a depart like a film and like kind of see it till the end. So in Incredibles, I was able to jump up in a lot of departments. I was in art, I was in FX for a hot second, and I also helped in story and script for a little while. And then for Turning Red, I like helped mostly in edit and story. And those departments are also the ones that kind of stay in the long haul for the film. So that's like me personally. I know some production people are just like, I only want to do a year tops on a film, and like loves to be in different departments and teams. But yeah, I'm a very big fan of like having a home for a good while.
I gotta ask, what if you had to choose a department? It was like, all right, this is your department for the rest of life. If you had to, is there a department that you could choose?
I think for me, it is story, mainly because, well, one, I find that I'm a foodie and a lot of story people love to eat. So like for me, like they're great because like I remember I would just bring like baked goods every week on a Friday morning. And it's just like, it's so awesome because like we'll eat and talk about food and talk about places to eat. I also just really love to like watch like foreign films and different like non-American films. And what I really like about Pixar story department is that like a lot of the story artists will watch so many different kinds of films. They're not stuck in this one type of filmmaking aspect. So I feel like I learned a lot from them, just like the kind of films that are out there, but also just like other filmmaking techniques and like storytelling ways you could tell a story. Yeah, and I think for me, it's just like I've also bonded the most with that department between both of those films. And I still talk to people within those 2 teams as well.
I agree with you though. I mean, based on the fact that I've never been in any other department other than story, I'm going to say story is my favorite department right now too. Yeah. I'm definitely learning a lot about story structure, which I'm appreciating. I'm curious. So you've talked about working inside of the production management and like working in the various departments. I'm now curious about your independent projects that you're like helming, right? And you're serving as, would you consider yourself primarily a director, primarily a writer, primarily a producer? Like if you had to put yourself into a bucket, where do you sit?
I don't know. I think I really just like producing and directing my own films. And I say that, but like I don't do it alone. I'm like a very big like team player and collaborative person. So like for me, it's just like it's really important for me to be in the producing side because I like for me personally, like I want to know the constraints because it'll help me as the director and writer to better help alleviate some of the issues that's happening in production. And then I personally want to be the writer because there's certain stories that I want to tell in a very specific way. And like, even the way I write my scripts isn't the typical like screenwriting 101 type of way. Like I primarily write it to direct it. So there's a lot of camera moves and there's a lot of like, very specific acting notes that I add in because I want the actors and actresses to know like what I specifically want you to portray on the screen. So there's no specific bucket. I just know it has to be like a project that I really care for. Even if I don't write, like I've helped other friends make their films too. And I helped produce it. And like, I didn't have to write and direct it, but I just had to be really, just like really want to help tell that story too.
Got it. Okay, so I couldn't get you to, can't put yourself in a bucket. That's a very director answer.
Yeah, it can't be in a box.
Okay, so I want to get a sense of like the breadth of work that you've done since your time here at Pixar that isn't these major motion pictures. Like, if you could share a little bit about like, I guess Pixar's co-op program and then maybe some of the work that you've produced out of that program.
Yeah, the Pixar co-op program is really dope because I think it gives you the resources. It reminds me of film school, honestly, because I remember like in film school, there's this whole thing of like, here are all the resources. It's on you to take advantage of it and how you use it, which like kind of sounds like, they're leaving you there's no like guide or like support, but honestly, it's kind of just like it's on you to figure out like how you want to pursue this. So that's why I think of the co-op program, where the co-op program like is here, we have resources, here's even like a little stipend, but it's on you to figure out like what you want to do at the end of the day, which I really appreciated. Because I am a very like go-getter, hustler type of person, and like I know how to take advantage of things and even ask for more, even though it's always a no. But the co-op program is really dope because I think it gives me like the time to really cultivate my voice and like really get a better understanding in filmmaking. And like I told myself every time I make a film, I want to like up the difficulty for myself to like really challenge myself as a filmmaker. And like sometimes saying that or doing that gets really scary because you don't want to fail. You don't want to make like, a bad film. But sometimes I feel like you need to do that in order to challenge yourself as an artist. So it's kind of like perfect that the co-op program is there because I think it's like a safe space where you could mess up and fail, which I've done a lot. So I really like love it. And I feel like it's like one of the most like unused things at Pixar, if that makes sense. Like I feel like not a lot of people take advantage of it as they should, because it's honestly such a great perk.
Yeah, and so like in your 5 years here, have you made a few different projects?
Yeah, I like directed a late night show. I like directed a short film. I made 2 short documentaries, and now I'm making another short film. And again, it's like really on me to kind of like tell the story I want to tell. So I'm really focused right now on like just really crafting my storytelling abilities and really be able to like write a story that I would want to watch and not what I think other people will want from me, which could be very hard to decipher sometimes because sometimes the way that people want it is a safe route versus sometimes the things that you want to do and direct is a very weird / I don't know, they're going to understand it kind of route. And I think that's where I told myself I need to build more confidence for and like really believe in like my filmmaking. So that's why I'm very grateful for the co-op program because again, I think it's like a safe place to kind of be very more experimental. I kind of make films without being in the spotlight.
Got it. Well,
Yeah.
I'm excited to check out this late night. It was like a late night TV show?
Yeah, it was at Pixar. Where like it was basically like someone's like goodbye exit party, but we went into like a late night talk show where we had like interviewees and brought people over, and we had like sketches in between and like video sketch. It was kind of like an SNL kind of thing. It was really fun. It was so much fun. It was so like not like random, but it was so just like I can't believe we did it. And it actually happened.
That's awesome. Wow. Okay. I'm going to have to go and dig into that one. So there's exciting stuff to come from you, I assume. I've been hearing your name a lot. You've been grinding, getting your projects in front of the right people. So I'm definitely, without giving anything away, I'm definitely encouraging folks to keep an eye out for your name. I'm curious, like I guess we got to wrap up here, but my last question is just around like the idea of like being a person of color in the animation industry. What do you feel like a person trying to get into this industry maybe should like consider or just keep an eye out for as they enter into like a predominantly white field like animation?
Yeah, I feel like being at Pixar 5 years, so much has changed. Like when I first started in production management, I was the only Black person in the department, and now there's like so many of us, which is really dope. But I'm super hopeful. I feel like just in Pixar, there's been so many changes and so many like just like conversations about like inclusion. How do we bring more people in? I'm very much just like I love our recruiting team. I feel like our recruitment department never like they are so good about bringing this talent in and like bringing the POC talent too. So I kind of like just am more hopeful for like us to be more open-minded, even like also just like community-wise within our community here in the Bay Area. Yeah, I don't know if there's any place, maybe unless it's like Black owned, that isn't predominantly white, you know? So yeah, I'm very hopeful. And I feel like Pixar is also just very aware and wants that too.